Hey guys, and welcome to week 8 of 225. Still the Brother Stevic, still here teaching, still thinking that you guys are doing fantastic work. Lab 7's a difficult one. You got through it. That last query can be a killer, but at this point, most of you got it. So this week's video is gonna be real quick. It's just gonna be talking about lesson 7. I'm gonna introduce you to a quick command that's gonna help you this week. But so let's just dig right into it. Let's talk about Lab 8, what you need to do. There's only 4 parts to it, so it should be super quick. So let me go ahead and bring that up here so you can take a look at it. Okay, so here is lesson 8. Lesson number 1, use the query you developed in number 4, step 4 of Lab 7. Add the necessary columns to insert the values directly into the price table. You will need to add values for price ID, created by, creation date, last updated by, and last updated date. So there's a little bit of a trick here. So if you scroll down a little bit, you'll see the table price and the columns that expect to be there. You'll notice that there's an amount column. I'm not sure the amount column is in your table. Maybe you need to add it. So just be aware of this is starting a little tricky now. So make sure all the columns are there. And if they're not, make sure they look like this when they go in, and then that query will work. So the query that you had at the end of number 7, Lab 7, that long query that gave 135 rows, that's what you use to insert into the price table. Okay, so there's a bit of a glitch there. My comparison camera's being a little funny. So the one thing I want to point out here is that I want you guys to remember on the inserts to go ahead and spell out all the columns that are being inserted from that table, because it'll be so much easier on you if you get an error that says too many values, too few values, to go back and look what the column name should have been. So I do advocate always doing this here, always adding the price, adding the columns to the table on the insert statement so you know it goes where. Okay. So moving down to next, step 2. You should use the following query, you should add the not null constraint to the price type column of the price table. That's old hat, guys. You got that one. That's easy. It's an alter table statement, not a problem. Step 3, the following query should update the rental item price column for 13 rows in rental item table. It should return 9 values of 5, 2 values of 3, and 1 value of 1, 10, and 15 each. If it returns anything else, you've encountered a failure. Unlike other DML statements, this one contains a couple of errors. You need to fix it before completing this step. You can find the missing components in the diagnostic query below the update statement. So a number of you said, hey, there's no mistake here. This right here is incorrect. That needs to be fixed. Okay, that's your big hint. That needs to be fixed. Once that's done, it should run just fine, and you'll get the proper results. That's what's missing there. And last but not least, number 4, which is here it is. Add a not null constraint to the rental item price column of the rental table. You got that one too. That's super easy. So you got one slightly difficult, the insert statement, one super easy, one reasonably difficult, and one super easy. So everyone should nail this pretty quick. So what I want to show you before I stop talking here, I want to show you this. That was a really short video. It's only 5 minutes so far. Let me change my share to this. Okay. So this is asking you to run some. This lab is asking you to run. Uh-oh. Hang on a second. There we are. Okay. So this lab is asking you to run an insert statement and update statement, all of which will change the data in your table, but you don't want it to be there if it's wrong. So there's a way to make this happen. there's a command called start transaction. So start transaction basically, how do I put this, locks down whatever you're trying to change. It puts a lock constraint on the item. Okay, should be test. I fixed that. And then I've got a command here called rollback. So what this does is it, to make it really simple, it kind of freezes the database in a place, makes the changes, and then waits for you to tell it what to do. There's either rollback or there's commit. Okay. So if you were writing your insert statement for the price table and enrobed it in a transaction, so start transaction and then rollback or commit, okay, you would see if the command worked, you'd get whatever errors, but you wouldn't make permanent changes until you were sure that it worked. Okay, so basically what it would look like is go here and I hit F5. It'll say, don't worry about that part. 24 was updated, rollback complete. So it went and made those 24 changes, but it rolled them back to the original because the commit wasn't there. So before you, if you want to play with this, I suggest doing with a little bit here, little queries here to make sure it works. Because you change commit, it'll commit the data. I suggest wrapping your insert as your price table and wrapping your update statement in these transactions, because then if they don't work, you're not permanently changing your database table into something you can't use anymore. Okay. There were no questions this week. Let me go out of my sharing stuff here. Stop sharing. Okay. I didn't get any questions this week other than where the error was in step 3, and I told you it's that last from clause where the data is coming from there. Other than that, everyone's doing great. It's week 8. You have 9, 10, 11, and 12 left. Weeks 13 and 14 are optional assignments. They're extra credit. I do that because it's talking about the LAMP stack, and it's basically path to production application that you make from the ground up, and it's a really cool lab. I encourage everyone to do it. However, I use weeks 13 and 14 for people to catch up on assignments they're late on, and I don't want to penalize them. So weeks 13 and 14 are optional, although I have yet to have a semester where all the students don't complete it, because who's not going to be trying to get a couple extra points here towards the end of the semester. All right, I think that covers everything I want to talk to you guys about. It's a short video this week, only 8 minutes. You have the transaction, start transaction, and commit and rollback, and then the 4 steps to Lab 8. Tomorrow night, it's currently Tuesday. Tomorrow night is the study group, so please make sure that you show up for that if you have any questions. If not, I will talk to you guys later. Thank you and have a great night.